Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for September 12th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is, who is this, actually? I can't, who's with me here?
It's Kirsten. I'm calling in from my depression. I'm here against my will today. This is the worst day to come back to the updates.
Yes, Kirsten is here with us as we are going to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. It was day 67 in the house. And if Kirsten's attire has not already given you the answer about what happened today with the veto, then we are about to let you know.
I thought I'd seen the darkest timeline before, but no. Yesterday was the darkest timeline.
Well, let's get to it. Of course, Kyland is the HOH. He has nominated Tiffany and Hannah for eviction. And today, day 67, is the day of the veto, the BB Comics veto. And it is Tiffany's last hope to survive the week.
Yes, we need to hope that she is good at cardio and remembering things and noticing the difference between them. It's a lot of things to be good at.
Yes. So Tiffany starts the day mostly just talking to Azah, letting her know that she's always said if Kai doesn't take X out at 6, that they have a final 2 deal. She thinks the guys are definitely working together to make sure that a man wins the game. And she can't be mad. She was trying to do the same thing with the women, but the women weren't going to listen.
No. Well, yeah, and then this is where, Oz is great because it's like, I feel this is a conversation where she could have been like, yeah, it would be so great for a woman to win, but she can't even fake it. She's like, yeah, I want either you or Derek to win. Okay, fine, whatever.
She says that for her, it's about who has the story that resonates the most. And for her, that's Big D and Tiffany. Their stories resonate the most with her. I don't know exactly what Big D's story is, but...
Yes, I was going to ask you because it's like, obviously you watch, just maybe a little bit more of the feeds than, everyone else on the planet, just like a little bit more. And so I was like, okay, maybe Taran has caught something that he hasn't shared with us on the last 66 days of live feed updates. Maybe there's more to the Big D story that we've simply missed. But of course, surely Taran can illuminate this. But no, what's the story?
It's time to come clean. We have not been reporting the full story when it comes to Big D. We've been trying to discredit him, and the truth is that he is a once in a generation player. That he is the one that orchestrated he did a third org that I don't even know about, that only he would know about because I am just not at his level. And he was a mastermind throughout the entire game. He came up with the plan and then convinced Tiffany that she came up with it.
Inception.
He knew all of the information throughout the entire game. He chose who was going to leave every week. He is the one that convinced Derek X to put Sarah Beth and Christian on the block. The only time that he went up on the block, the only times that he went up on the block, he chose to go up on the block because that's what he wanted to have happen, because everything that has happened has been what he wants to have happen. And now, as he's always wanted, he's getting Tiffany out of the game. So, that is his story, the story of a man who came in. And you know what else? He's a really big supporter of women. That he chose to give the women a majority of women on the jury because he wanted to support women in the game. And so here we are.
Now, all I'm going to take from that is I pray to God he's a once-in-a-generation player because I can't do this again.
Well, how dare you?
Yeah, I guess I'm just a jerk. It's fine.
Tiffany says that Xavier is the one that's going to win this game if he makes it to the end. Anybody that takes him there is just going to lose to him. That's just the way it is. Azah says that sounds great, but Kyland is still my target. Moving
Which, you know what? Good to know. At least there's that. Tiffany confirms that, you know what, if she stays, she would also be going after Kylan since he's the only person that she knows is definitely coming after her. So, love Tiffany always pulls out the logic. It's just a part of what I love about her so much.
Well, we get to the veto competition.
Yes.
It takes quite a while because it's one of these individually timed competitions, of course. And when the feeds come back.
Shut the up, Kylan.
Kylan won the veto. Yeah, he won.
Yes, he did. And he did it in like 11 minutes, which does get discussed, you know, over the course of the night as people's times. I did like when they're talking about how none of them were on Franzel's level of 7 minutes.
Yes, I believe Tiffany, she came in last, right? She was like 40 minutes.
I choose not to perceive that, Taran, actually. I thought that these things timed out at less than 40 minutes. Why did they let it keep going?
Maybe it did time out. I don't know. I wasn't.
I always thought it was like a 35-minute timeout. So when I'm hearing times in the 40s, I'm like, wait a tick. What's this
Yeah, no, you know
about?
what? I think she did time out because she was saying she still doesn't even know what she got wrong, what she didn't, what she wasn't
Oh.
seeing. And so she's going to have to watch the episode back to see what she had wrong.
No, don't watch it back. Tiffany, you don't have to do that. It's fine. Oh, 45 is timeout. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, clearly not a great outcome there for Tiffany.
Not the best showing. It also sounds like you know, we had predicted the comics maybe wouldn't be so great. And we were right about that. That they did not seem to be so great. Lots of talk of, you know, like, oh, they didn't even necessarily recognize Alyssa right away because they made her so blonde, like that kind of thing.
What was Hannah's was they had Chada in her comic, which means hopefully they'll actually explain it in the episodes finally.
I literally, my sister texted me and was like, why did they start calling Hannah Chada? And I was like, it's her name. Like, that's what she prefers to go by.
But we'll see, you know, all of this stuff on the episode, of course. Yes. Tiffany says to the cameras, she's not out yet.
Yeah,
she's going to talk to Kylan.
She has something up her sleeve.
Yes.
Do not lose hope. She just needs to be able to effectively communicate with him.
Yes, she needs to convince Kylan to keep her, that she's going to be loyal to him and only loyal to him. And you know what? She'll mean it too. She needs to get him to understand that she knows what she did wrong and that she needs him in this game.
Yes. Nobody else can offer her anything at this point besides Kylan.
Mm-hmm. Hannah's going to talk to the cameras. Yes. And she has her own plan. She wants to try to maybe offer Kylan a final 2 deal or something along those lines. Try to get him to use the veto on her if possible. She can also try for a final 3 deal with both Xavier and Kylan, trying to pitch it as, hey, as 3 most likely people to win the next competition, we will keep each other safe. This is something that they are concerned about, although they plan to target her, and she says to us that she still plans to target them, even if she does make this deal.
She's like, I'm a truth teller, which just means that I always tell the truth, except sometimes when I don't tell the truth, when I'm lying, because I would target X and Kylan if I won.
Yeah, if they win, hopefully they don't target me. If I win, all deals are off and they're going up on the fly. Which is the best kind of deal to make in Big Brother.
You can bounce checks. It's fine. I do like, I feel like she's like, you know what? I also need to make a final 2 with Azza. Like, it's time. You needed to do that a couple weeks ago, Hannah. Would have been nice, but you know what? Better late than never, I guess.
Yes, and Azza is her ideal final 2 scenario. If she's sitting next to Azza, that's her best bet, which I think is mostly true. But I actually think she has a better shot against really anybody in the game now that Tiffany is likely leaving. Probably better than even she thinks at this point. But certainly, what am I saying? Why am I even saying that? Kyland has infected me. Of course she's gonna take, like, of course she's definitely gonna take Azza. Like, the fact that anybody else is thinking of taking anybody else other than Azza and Big D is just so absurd. That I guess I need to be giving heaps of praise to Hannah here for being the only person in this game right now who actively wants to take somebody she knows she can beat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry, Taran. Like the deprogramming company that I've called, they're gonna be breaking in to kidnap you any minute. They're gonna fix whatever is going on with you here. Because yeah, obviously the right call is to take Ozza or Big D. I think if Tiffany's not gonna be there, Hannah and Ozza is who I would like to see in the final two. So that would be preferable from a strategy from Hannah perspective and Kirsten enjoys watching the show perspective. So I guess that means it won't happen, but fingers crossed anyways.
Yeah, and I love this plan from her. I think that this is something that could really work well with Kyland, and I think X would be in for it, at least in the short term, and it would give her maybe a chance to survive, one more week potentially. Xavier does still plan to target her, but there's a small chance that he would maybe change his mind if he really felt like she was down to bring him to the end. He used to be in a final two with her. He used to want to bring her to the final two. There's a small chance she could get back on that, but she needs to get to work, and she has not, and she needs to really hurry up with this.
She was giving people the night off, okay? Everyone's entitled to a day off, Taran. But yeah, no, I really like this as well because it feels like it's motivated by listening to Kyland's rationale from these past couple of weeks. Like it aligns with what he has been saying. So it's kind of like it's not really in her best interest or in her actual game plan to go in this way, but she's packaging it in a way that makes sense to how Kyland has been playing, which is a really good Big Brother skill from Hannah here.
So Tiffany is going to talk with Azza, and Tiffany has she has had a shift in perspective from this veto loss. And she's going to talk more about it with Kyland later, but she feels like you know what, I have been humbled, and she needs to apologize to us, and she hates apologizing because she hates to be wrong, but she was wrong, and when they clashed before early in the game, she just wanted to separate from Azza because she knew that they didn't see things the wrong way, and she didn't want to continue to clash. She didn't want Azza to dislike her because she thought differently than Azza. But over the course of the game, she has come to realize that that is not who Azza is, and she made an assumption about Azza judging her, and she adores who Azza actually is, and she's so sorry that she shut down in that way, and she needs to apologize for not giving Azza the benefit of the doubt and recognizing the difference between game and personal.
Yeah, and this is kind of the way that Tiffany is talking for the majority of the evening yesterday of like, you know what, in the real world, like I would try to be avoiding the conflict, running away from conflict. I wouldn't face things head on. But what I've learned is that in this game and in this house, you have to face things head on and you have to accept when things are bad. You can't like let your ego get in the way of that. Yesterday just made me so sad, Darren.
So this is Tiffany, in my opinion, being very genuine. I think that she has felt humbled. It doesn't mean that if she got power again, she wouldn't be like, but
Like, what are you doing?
I mean, that's essentially what she's saying, right? That like, she got power in the game. She kind of let it get to her head, and she kind of like got a little bit. But now that she has lost and been humbled, she's like, you know what? I kind of let that get to my head, and I'm sorry for essentially the mistakes that she made in the game, especially when it came to her relationship with Azza. She's going to apologize for the mistakes that she made with her relationship with Kyland later as well. And I think she's coming from a genuine place of feeling defeated at the very least. She's able to recognize what she did wrong, and she's apologizing for it. I don't think she's necessarily expecting anything from Azza, but in this conversation, for me, it was just very insightful to see the difference between how Ozza responds to these apologies and to see how Kyland responds to them later.
Well, yeah. So I think it's mostly coming from a genuine place. Like, I do think that's really how she feels. But I've watched like enough of Tiffany to know that I think she's kind of going a little bit over the top with the apology. Like, it's the kind of
Mhm.
thing where, you've definitely. Like, I feel like I've done this before where, like, I know I've done something wrong. I know I need to apologize for it. But, like, I don't think it was, like, that wrong. Like, it was, like, a little wrong, and I have to apologize, but it wasn't, like, the worst thing ever, but I'll go in, like, "I'm the worst person. Like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that." Like, sometimes you have to go a little over the top, uh, because you think that it will be better.
I do see what you're saying, and because I do think that people do that. I think that's what Big D was doing to her earlier in the season, and she was trying to call him on it.
Yeah.
My read on it personally is that she's genuinely feeling really down and beating herself up, and
Mhm.
that's where the over the top stuff comes from. Is that she's genuinely feeling like she is beating herself up, and then that is being reflected at the people that she's apologizing to, and that's where the over the topness comes from. That's my own personal sort of read on it, at least.
Yeah, and I think that we're mostly aligned on it, but I just think there's like a small element of like she's not someone who ever quite turns off the game in the back of her head.
Hmm.
So I just think that that is
Oh
playing a
yeah.
part of it. Like I do think she genuinely feels super defeated. She genuinely thinks that her ego got in the way. She's recognizing mistakes she made in the game, but she's also like, okay, well, how can I turn this feeling of like feeling bad into a benefit to me in the game? Yeah.
Yes, no, that I completely agree with that. I do think that she, I agree. She's definitely not turning the game off, and
Yeah.
she's hoping that this genuine feeling of apology will mean something. But I don't think she's expecting it to mean to win anything. And I think she's it's kind of like, well, I'm genuinely throwing myself into this, and
Mhm.
hopefully it works out. But and
Yeah.
that's why again, like I think if it did work out, she'd be like, mhm.
Is she like,
Uh,
like, what are you doing?
it worked. But if it doesn't, then it's like, okay, that's what I thought.
Well, yeah,
So
like she's almost like building in and out for herself where like if it doesn't work out, it's like, well, but like it wasn't game, it was genuinely how I felt. But like if it works out, it's like, okay, it was
mhm.
game. Hi.
And I will say, in terms of game, I don't think this is the effective path to take here.
Well, it's
Perhaps a little bit with Ozza, but I still think she doesn't fully understand Ozza or her goals in the game. And I think apologizing to Ozza in this way is a great like first step. But to
mhm.
really win Ozza to your side, I mean, Ozza's told her, you need to have the best story. And you need to be able to sell that story to Ozza. And despite herself, Tiffany cannot do anything to incentivize Ozza that is beyond just the game and personal incentives.
Yes, but I do think that this could be a good foundation. Like, I think that
Yeah, I
she's left
agree.
room where
If
over
she
the
had time.
next like couple of days, like she could possibly, build just like a tiny bit, just like a little tiny bit to get more of Ozza. But yeah, she doesn't have a ton of time at this point, unfortunately.
Hmm. So Big D is going to talk with Hannah a couple times about the veto and whether it's going to be used. And I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up. Oh my god, I'm going to go up.
Yeah,
And
I
I don't.
wish you
I'm gonna
would, Big D. I wish you would. Okay, get out of here.
go.
Um, this man, the audacity of this man to be reclined on a couch for the last whatever 67 days, and then to be like, "Well, I've done everything. I created this.
Oh, we'll get to
Uh,
that
how
conversation.
dare he?" I'm just really mad
Yeah.
at him.
Oh, don't worry. Hannah talks to both Big D and X as well. Big D's going over his final two speech. He's going to talk about how he was on an island. Xavier and Hannah make fun of it because why wouldn't you? And then Big D talks to Xavier. And they talk about how Hannah needs to go next. and because she is the next biggest competition threat. And Big D's like, yeah, but you could you have beaten her in that that HOH in the double eviction if you hadn't thrown it? And Xavier's like, oh yeah, I would have beaten her. I would have beaten her for sure.
Oh yeah,
I also could have beaten her in the NFT competition. So basically, she hasn't won any competitions because I could have won them.
Yeah. Okay.
But I am worried about. There's one competition I'm worried about with Hannah, and that's the like getting undressed one, because like she can like contort her body into weird places. She's like really flexible like that. So like, I'm worried that she could maybe win that one.
And why is that just like the weirdest way to say you're concerned about Hannah in a specific competition? Like, you could just be like, "Oh, I think she'd be good at that." But why you gotta talk about her contorting and being like, "Stop it! Stop talking about this woman's flexibility." It's weird.
So Xavier says he is not going to be throwing any more competitions.
No, throwing comps is over for the season. He will be winning. How quickly do you think that tune will change the minute something comes up that he can't win, and then he threw it when he lost?
Who knows? He says that they talk about, okay, so next is Hannah, then they're going to take out Azza. They are going to go to the final 3 with Kylan. And this is where I'm just like, are you sure, Xavier?
Why? Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating. This whole situation is just so frustrating. But I mean, if that is Xavier's plan, it just goes to show that he's not as good as the perception has been created to make him seem.
Well, because that's the thing, because a lot of people assume that because Kyland wants to take Xavier to the final 3 or the final 2, that this is like somehow Xavier's doing. But I actually think it's the opposite. I think that Kyland has been influencing Xavier to take him further, and that Kyland has always wanted to go to beat the best, and he has been influenced by other people in the game that Xavier's the best. And Kyland has been influencing Xavier to go from I'm targeting Kylan at final 6 because he's my biggest threat in the game and he's, selfish or whatever, to I'm going to cut Kylan at 5 to I'm going to cut Kylan I'm going to bring him to the final 3, actually. And
well, yeah, gentlemen stick together, Taran.
Yeah.
Gross.
and here's the thing. Because for as much as I can and will criticize Kylan for wanting to go to the final 2 with Xavier, I have consistently said, I don't think he guaranteed loses to Xavier. I do think that Kylan can beat Xavier in the final 2, which is why Xavier should have no interest in letting Kylan come anywhere close, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that's the thing is we've seen Kylan play really good Big Brother at points during this season, and then we've seen him just like fall apart with this strange, oh, I have to go to the final 2 with Xavier plan. And so like I feel like with Kylan, you don't know what you're gonna get. You could get amazing Kylan who has everything it takes and is able to explain his game and can win, or you could get Kylan who's like, I wanted to be at the end with the best because it's about honor.
I mean, he's literally like, and I get the idea. I'm not saying that there's no value whatsoever in the fact that Kylan definitely wants to bring Xavier to the end, and Kylan's a good competitor. And so if you ride with Kylan, then you are all but guaranteeing a spot in the final 2. But you're giving him the chance to beat you in a bunch of competitions, getting there. And he already thinks, and he's going to say in this conversation, that Tiffany will still vote for Kylan and convince a lot of other people to vote for Kylan in the final 2, which is a very real possibility still. And I feel like that's an unnecessary risk when all you need to do is take him out, and you're literally in the final 3 with Azza and Big D, 2 people who barely even care about winning the game at all, who haven't won a single competition yet. Like this is the most stacked final 3 I think I've ever seen for a player, and to turn it down, it seems a bit ridiculous to me.
Well, yeah, it's just like a lack of judgment to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm gonna keep Xavier in. Let's get rid of Azza at 4. What? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's not the most stacked file. I'm immediately coming up with examples that are better, but still, it's very good, especially for somebody that kind of didn't exactly create the structure that made it happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very strong like opportunity for many. Like I feel like half of the three could go to the half of the six could go to the end with those two and be in a great spot. So it's like, okay, well, good work.
Xavier is worried. He's worried. He's like, how do we get to the final three without pissing people off too much? And Big D says, oh, don't worry about Oz. Oz already knows that we have a final two, so she's not going to be mad when we cut her. And Xavier's like, yeah, but I don't want week 1 to 4 Ozza to show up if we cut her at 4. I don't want that to happen.
I'm so sick. I'm just so sick of these men. I'm so done with them.
They move on to Kylan. They talk about Kylan.
Yes.
Xavier says he knows that Kylan knows that when he sits next to Ozza, he loses because of because of women, and that's not a respectable loss. Unlike sitting next to me or you.
And why? Why is that not a respectable loss? That's what I would like to know. I'd love to hear an explanation of that. I'm just wondering what could possibly be the difference there.
Yeah. Xavier says he's very worried that Tiffany is going to go to the jury house and paint a lot of stuff like it was her that did it. Like she was doing a bunch of work for us. And the annoying part is that like there are a bunch of people in the jury that are like that are going to listen to her too. Like so she's going to be able to convince so many people. It's so annoying because she's going to be able to convince so many people that she did all these things. And she's going to it's like he's literally contradicting himself in his own statement. She has so many people. Derek X, Claire, Brittany will listen to her. I bet she can get Alyssa to listen to her. She's going to be able to have the whole jury, and she's going to be able to convince them that she did so many things when she didn't.
Yeah, and that is the hallmark of a really bad Big Brother player, that they've done nothing and they can convince people that they did everything, right? That's how she's so bad. No, literally, Tiffany's so good they don't even know she did it. Like they think they did it.
They really do.
She literally was like, "This is what we're gonna do. This is the plan to get us all to the 6. Let me carry this group and make sure it happens." It happens, and then they're like, "Wow, Tiffany really thinks she did something."
Yeah, he says she's gonna talk about the plan that she came up with, and Big D's like that she did not come up with, and Exact is like, yeah, exactly, like we talked about it, we just hadn't like solidified, what we were doing.
I feel like the way that they were talking about it is like, yeah, we had totally thought about the concept of kind of like a cookout like structure before Tiffany said it to us. So like it was in our brains already. So it was actually our idea, even though we did nothing to build it, execute it, or make it work. That was our idea. Because what we thought about it? It's like intellectual property.
And Big D's like, yeah, she just showed up 2 days later with a chessboard. That's all that happened, really. And X is like, yeah, she's gonna take credit for the plan. We'll just let her have it. We'll just let her have it.
I wish I could let them have it. It would not be pretty if I could talk to them right now.
Yeah, they came up with the idea by watching Big Brother 12 and thinking about the same thing. And then Tiffany was like, okay, Hannah, you go make this relationship. Xavier, you go make this relationship. I'm going to work over here. And this is how things are going to go. And they were like, yeah, we already knew that. I mean, we were already going to do that.
That was already on my to-do list, actually, to create a relationship with someone outside of this group that was not a group. Yeah. I thought about it, It's like, I feel like one day maybe like let's say teleportation gets invented and it's like you could be like, oh, but like I had thought of the concept of disappearing from one place and appearing somewhere else. Like really, it was my idea. Like it's that insane, the level of delusion.
Yeah, Tiffany, because the thing is, Tiffany did not just come up with the idea because the idea had existed before. Tiffany actively created pairs. She encouraged both Hannah and Derek X, who, despite being on the same team, did not have a great game relationship prior to her encouraging them to bond in order to create that visible pair. She intentionally worked on Claire. She is the one that exposed Kyland and Sarah Beth as a pair. Prior to that, they were hidden and they were not a pair. She is the one that told that got Xavier working on what he was doing. She helped. She was actively to the people in the game, encouraging the viewpoint of looking at people in pairs. This is something that nobody else was doing in the game. Kyland had the second most influence, in my opinion, in terms of getting the cookout where they were. But his influence was more on a more individual level. Tiffany's influence was in the house. She is the one that got the target put on the people early in the game. She is the one that helped destroy the slaughterhouse and build the royal flush, and then helped when the pieces of the royal flush broke apart, which was Kylan's doing primarily. She helped create the narrative that shaped the house for the rest of the game for the cookout, because she had the connections and influence to create that perception while everyone else was busy, hunkering in bed with their partner. They don't even know that happened. They don't even see it. Xavier says, the thing about Tiffany is that she gravitated toward the people that were very easy to get a hold of. The very impressionable people that were very easy to manipulate. That's all of her people were those people. So that hers don't even count. Big D said, we did all the work. All the grunt work was us all the way through the game.
What work? Big D, what work did you do?
They had to get out. They had to get out, all the people, Brent, Frenchie. That was all them.
Last I checked, laying down is not hard work. And if it was, then I would have a high-powered career in that industry. Okay?
Xavier says, when Claire was sitting on in that chair and she said that nobody was looking at me, she wasn't wrong. Nobody was looking at me. Nobody has looked at me all game long. And that is not a mistake. This is where I'm like, no, it's not a mistake, because Tiffany has prevented people from targeting you because they have been looking at you for like over a month. And people have been looking at you. People have been looking at you from pre-jury. They've been looking at you, trying to want to target you. And Tiffany has been in their ear, convincing them that you're chill and that they shouldn't go after you. She has been doing that work. And this is why I cannot get on board with the idea that Xavier is doing enough in this game to warrant the position that he's in, because he doesn't even know how much danger he had been in. He doesn't even know how much work had been put in to keep him safe in the game. He still thinks that he has been safe all season long and that nobody's looked at him, despite the fact that literally everybody in the game outside of the cookout has looked at him and wanted to target him. But he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, he has not properly perceived the game that was happening around him. Obviously, neither has Big D. And the thing is if we could see like one of them like talking to a camera, being like, "Hey, I recognize that like Tiffany did a lot of work and that's why she needs to go, but I can't have anyone realizing what Tiffany did and I need them to think it was me." I could be like, "Okay, fine. That makes sense to me from a strategic standpoint. You want other people to think it was you, even though you know it was not you." But no, these people have this warped view of what has happened where they genuinely think it was them when it was not them. Like, if they just said, "Hey, yeah, I know Tiffany actually did a lot and really helped get us here to achieve the mission of the cookout to get to the final six," I would be sad that they're targeting her, but I could at least respect it from a strategic standpoint. But the way they're going about it is just totally divorced from the reality of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is representative of how well they've played the game, right? Because if not only would it be like more palatable if they were like because what happened in the brigade, right, is that apart from Enzo, who kind of felt like he did all the work, Hayden wanted Matt Hoffman out of the game because Matt's the one that came up with the plan. Matt's the one that helped implement the plan. Matt's the one that won a bunch of competitions, and Matt's the one that had a ton of outside relationships that were very dangerous to the brigade. And so Hayden was like, this guy is the biggest threat. Look at all of his friends. Look at how well he plays this game. Look at how smart he is. I'm going to sabotage him. And I'm going to take him out way early because I respect him as a player and I need to get him out. And that's why Hayden is so good, because he recognized all of those things and actively worked against Matt because of those things. Xavier has not managed to recognize what's actually happening in the game. If he said, I know what Tiffany has done, I know what I have done, and he saw the actual game that had been played out up to this point, then again, not only would that be more palatable, but it would also say, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy intentionally played this game in a way that put him in this position. But what he is making it abundantly clear by continually getting the history of his own game wrong is that he has no idea how he got to this point. He has just been chilling and throwing comps and thinking that he's been doing all this work.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it's so frustrating to watch. Because again, if he just admitted the truth of the matter, it could be like, okay, well, you know what? He's seeing things strategically and he's making a good decision. But no, he's not. Yeah. He doesn't understand, and it's not good. And it's also just like, there's a way that you can talk about your competitors without completely like disrespecting them as people. That is also a lot better to watch. Like, I think something that a lot of us enjoyed watching for the rest of this season is that people were targeted, but they were still like treated well. They were not treated like others. Like they still got to, interact in like the main structure of the house. But the way that they talk about Tiffany is really, really not enjoyable to watch, and is different from how the rest of this season has gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have been tracking it all season long, particularly from Big D, right?
Yes.
The way that he's talked about the women, and it has popped up here and there. A few weeks ago, it was these women in salons. They don't carry their own weight. They don't do anything. They don't win enough competitions.
And then they win, and it's like, how dare the women do anything? Like, shut up. I'm so sick of these people. Like, these whiny babies. Like, last I checked, these were all grown adult men, and they are acting like children, and it's not attractive. It's not fun to watch. It's not strategic. It's just bad, and just misogyny on full display is, I guess, what we're getting for the rest of the season, and it's not fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. And Big D, Big D says the same thing. When I was on the block, I put myself on the block. That's it. That's the only reason I went on the block.
Yeah, you know what? That's the true power of a Big Brother player, to determine, when they go on the block. That's why actually Luan was the best player of all time, because he decided when he was going to get evicted, because there was a superpower. Like, get out of here. So sick of this.
All right. So Kyland is going to talk with Xavier, and they talk about taking each other to the final two. That's still what they're doing. The gentlemen, or the Gentlemen's
Club. It's actually the Gentlemen's Club.
Mm-hmm.
A really classy name for an alliance that they can definitely show on CBS at 8 p.m. Get out of
here. Kyland says he's leaning toward using the veto on Hannah, actually, to keep her from coming at him next week. He's kind of thinking about that. He would put Big D on the block as the replacement nominee.
It works on multiple levels, because they can actually test Ozza as well.
Mm-hmm. Essentially Hannah is a bigger threat. So if Hannah's going to stay, he would rather do something for Hannah so that she's not coming for him. And he can put Big D on the block because, he can piss Big D off. It's not a big deal.
That's it. Well, and then when it happens, Big D can say, "I'm on the block because I want to be on the block.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually chose this."
He says that it is a bit of a risk though, because in testing Azza, if she does turn on them, now they've taken out Big D, and it's the 3 women against them, and that would be very scary. So that maybe we can get a deal out of Hannah without having to use the veto on
No, I think they should use the veto. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cute.
I mean, you're just asking yourself to be mad at Azza though, because then you're gonna put all your hopes on Azza, and she's not gonna follow through.
That's true. You're right. You're not wrong. Me yesterday being like, maybe Ozza will win and use it. Why wouldn't she? But like, she obviously wouldn't. But I was still just like, let me be delusional. And then until the feeds came back, and then I was like, this was always what was going to happen. But now I'm disappointed because I let myself create a fake reality in my head of what might happen.
Yeah. Xavier's also like, hey, but if we do use the veto on Hannah, can I like talk to her and be like, hey, I'm gonna convince Kylan to do this, and then maybe I can be in on the deal too. And Kylan's like, yeah, we could probably do something like that.
Well, yeah, because they have a very tight final too.
Mm-hmm. They really think they're the next coming of like Derek and Cody.
That's who they are.
As do Big D and Xavier, actually.
Do they? Well, I guess Colin has openly been saying he wants to do the Cody thing, so I guess he thinks X is Derek.
Yeah. They speculated maybe he is an undercover detective. Maybe that's one of the things that he's secretly is.
Yeah, I did hear he's in the FBI, so it could work.
Huh. All right, so Tiffany's gonna have her conversation with Kylan.
Yes.
And she says, look, here's what I want to say to you, Kylan. I lost that veto. And I needed to lose that veto because I needed to be humbled. When we talked yesterday, we talked about me trusting you, not trusting you. And I lost that veto. I was listening to some Kendrick Lamar. I was listening to the lyrics, and I was talking about like, should I trust him? Should I not trust him? And I realized that you never did anything to make me not trust you, Kylan. You are my lifeline in this house. And I do trust you, and I want to commit to that. Are you falling asleep on me, Kylan? No, I'm listening.
Oh yeah, he's
always
listening.
A great sign that it seems like somebody's falling asleep on you as you're doing this.
Yeah, it's what you always look for, is someone to just really be like, okay, falling asleep. It's really good. This conversation, I feel like I have so many notes on this conversation, and there was like stretches where I was actively like, I can't write this down because I can't face that this is what's happening. Like it's just a lot of like, I've been humbled. I needed to be humbled. Like, I don't like to ask people for help. Tiff apologizing for what happened last week.
Yeah, she says nobody in this game will owe you like I owe you if I stay in this game. I'm sorry that you're in a position to have to trust me after what I've done, but I genuinely need you. This is, in my opinion, all wrong.
It's not
in
what
how to approach Kylan.
It's not what Kylan wants to hear. This is something that would work really well on like most other people, but it's not what Kylan wants to hear. The fact of the matter is, from the moment that she like showed distrust in him, or mistrust, words are hard, that was the problem, right? And so like, I feel like you can't approach him like this, because it just, to him, will make Tiffany seem weak, and all the more reason to get rid of her, to go to the end with a strong player.
Yes, I think the problem is that it's exactly what Kylan does want to hear. And the problem is that what Kylan wants is not what Tiffany wants. And so by giving him what he wants, she is like giving away what she wants. And I talked yesterday about like, if you have a relationship with a person where if you like ever admit fault to anything, they are just like, boom, now I have it on you, and they want to use it against you. This is exactly what they want from you. They want you to be like, I've done so wrong by you. I'm such a terrible person, and you are a paragon of virtue, and I owe you everything. And they get to sit up on their throne and be like, yes, but you did do wrong to me. You still must pay. I appreciate that you are groveling, but I must keep you in the groveling position here in order to maintain this level of exactly what I want. So I cannot actually forgive you because then we would be equals again. So I must keep you here. And so by giving him this, she is, as you said, making herself out to be not the strong player, not the competitor, and exactly where he wants her to be, exactly where Sarah Beth was, where it's like, okay, now that I have conquered you, I can send you on your way.
Like there's one part of this conversation that made me the most angry is when Colin's like, yeah, well, create and execute are two different things. And like you have to do both of those things. And it's like, shut up. What are you talking about? What, like, did Kyland exclusively have like the 5 a.m. club to read in sequester? Like the way that he, like the corporate jargon, it's too much for me personally.
She says, I will never choose anyone else over you. I will not choose Hannah over you. I will not choose Xavier over you. I will not choose Big D over you. I will not choose Azza over you. He says, what about Tiffany? I won't choose myself over you. I won't. You will be everything. He's like, yes, that is acceptable to me, and it's also still not enough. He says, when you won that HOH, it was such a betrayal of me. You were being selfish, and you didn't even think about how it would affect me by doing that. And she's like, you're so right. I didn't think of how it would affect you, and I'm so sorry. And from here on out, I can only be loyal to you. And he says, your loyalty may not be enough. That's just the path to the end is not viable with you. And she says, but we can do it. We can kill it. We can win these comps. We can make it to the end. And he says, well, apparently Xavier can beat me in any kind of competition he wants. So I guess we can't get to the end. And she's like, whoa, boy, like you're really, that's an old one there. I said that a long time ago. And he's like, huh? I don't know.
Nothing like, trying to have a conversation with someone, trying to, maybe apologize, maybe admit what you've done wrong, admit where you've made a mistake. And the person is like, hey, remember 5 weeks ago when you made this one small comment that I didn't call you out on at the time? Let me throw it back in your face. Like, that's the vibe. That's the vibe here of like, oh, let me throw something else that's already been resolved back in your face to make you feel bad because I can see that things are now turning. Like, so shut up.
Mm-hmm. And he says, you'll always have me outside of this game. Outside of this game, though. She says, yeah, I guess maybe. He's like, stop doubting the things that I say.
Taran! Like, stop. It's just so annoying.
Yeah. It's he says what does it look like if you do go home this week? She says, I'll still be your friend. He's like, no, what does it look like in the jury? And she says, I'll try to make sure you win. She says, I do think Xavier's playing a really good game, and if he's there with you, it will be very difficult, but unconditional loyalty, unconditional respect, that's what I want for us. So if I'm in that jury house, I will do what I can. But listen, if you want to win, you've got to get him out. And I don't care if you think he'll take you. I don't care who you're with in the final three. He's taken that person. I know you want to be there with a competitor, but there's only one Kai. He does not feel the same way.
And now I'm wondering, is there any world in which when Kylan says, well, what does that look like on the jury, where she could be like, well, if we build something here and you keep me in the house, I'm going to rock with you to the very end. But if you get rid of me right here, I will fight tooth and nail against you in the jury to the very end. Is that something that could potentially have worked, do you think?
It's what I was hoping she would say.
Well, I think it's what we all wanted.
I think it's more like, I think that is more likely to work than this. I think that there are some people in this world where if you show them that kind of loyalty, they will go, you know what am I doing? Why am I holding, like, I'm holding it against her that she had a moment of doubt with me, and she's willing to do this for me, like I'm being a jerk here. And they would be like, you know what? Maybe even she still needs to go, but maybe I need to change my mind on how I felt about this. But Kyland is not that person. Kyland, you tell him he's right you tell him like that you're gonna give him more, and he's gonna be like, perfect. How about even more? And so I don't think that the way to work Kyland is by giving him anything. In that sense, you have to fight him.
I feel like Kyland is like speaking with Kyland in the game. Like I don't know Kyland in his life. I can't speak to that. But I feel like in this way, like Kyland's being an F boy. And I think that Tiffany needs to turn that around on him and play the exact same games back with him to put him like on unsure footing and make him feel a little bit confused, not in the house, but about how she will talk about him in the jury. I think that she needs to put it in a situation where he is at least starting to feel like he needs to kind of win her back over, at least for the jury side of things, because that's the kind of thing where he could end up changing his mind after that sort of thing happens.
She needs to put some fear into this man, because there's a clip of this on online, because it's funny, of like just a montage of Tiffany having some attitude with the other players in the game. Like, Kyla, what are you doing laying here like you're my friend? Laying on my bed, like just like various comments like that, and she apologizes for that later. I'm sorry I gave you attitude like that. Like I didn't mean it. And Kylan's literally like sitting back, arms out, like, oh, I know. That's why I didn't react in the moment, because I knew you didn't mean it. Like, this man has so much faith in himself that you need to shake. You need to tell him you think you're cool. You think you're gonna like just be chill with this? Like, I'm gonna go to that jury house. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that you lose to anybody that you sit next to. Yeah, I'm gonna make you lose to Azza. I'm gonna make you lose to Big D. I'm gonna make you lose to Xavier. I'm gonna make you lose to anybody. I'm gonna be telling all of America about our late night fun, and how you have turned on me because of that. She needs to pull out every stop, because otherwise this guy is just going to feel like he again has conquered, and it's time to move on.
Yeah, he needs to feel like perception of him could be bad as a result of this. One thing I do also want to say though, like it comes up a lot. It came up with Big D yesterday talking about how, oh, Tiffany has an attitude, blah, blah, blah. It's called a personality, people. Ever heard of having one? Like, sorry, she's not boring and she doesn't just like sit back and do nothing. Like, it's not about having an attitude, good or bad. It's about literally just being a personality, which is what we want from the people that are cast on these shows. Because again, Big D has been reclining. At least Tiffany's been doing something, and then people have the audacity to complain about how she does it. Whatever. I've had enough. She did this whole thing.
Yeah. So as I said, I don't think this is the right play here with Kyland, especially telling him that she's going to be a vote for him in the jury. I mean, that's only going to further bolster his ego.
Exactly.
And she ends this conversation getting very little from him. No,
because he was basically asleep. Like he was technically awake and responding, but like he was essentially asleep for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. So afterwards, he talks to Big D, and Big D's talking about how Big D says. So first of all, they say we're taking out Tiffany. He says, we're taking out Tiffany. Her problem is that she gave into paranoia and she stopped trusting me. That was her problem. The conversation changed nothing in terms of the lines that he's going to be giving. Big D talks about he says, Kylan, I don't expect to win this game. I'm just playing to get to that final 2 chair. I know I didn't get to give sympathy votes, so that's probably gonna hurt me in the end. But I at the very least I deserve to be in the final 2 after all the work that I put into the season all season long. I deserve to be in those final 2 chairs. Kylan says, well, all right, Big D. I just hope you know that I'm vulnerable next week, and I'm relying on everyone else to keep me safe. I'm taking out Tiffany, who I know will work with me, for people that I think will work with me. So you guys better have my back.
I'm like, stop it. Oh, someone's gonna be there for you, but you're gonna get rid of them? Stop. Enough. Could the rationale for the decisions just be grounded in reality? That's all I'm asking for. Like, it wouldn't be so annoying if it was based on what has actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all I'm saying. Like, yes, I love Tiffany. I would trust her with my life. I would jump in front of a train for her. Yes. However, if they were like, wow, Tiffany's a really good player, we have to target her, it would be like, you know what? I'm sad, but I understand it. This is like, it's not comprehensible.
Yep, it's pretty frustrating.
That's the problem.
Frustrating. Yeah. So that's pretty much what we had from the day. Anything else you wanted to bring up, Kirsten?
What was it? X was like, Hannah, I hate to say it, but like, you and my little brother would really get along. I thought that was weird.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if that works out.
Well, Hannah was like, he's your brother and you're like my brother, so it could never work.
Yeah. All right. So there we go. That's what we have for you guys. Of course, later tonight, I will be live on Twitch to watch tonight's episode of Big Brother 23. I'll also be live on Twitch in a few hours to play some Among Us with the Among Us crew. So check me out there, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. And then, of course, after the episode tonight, we'll be live to talk about the episode here on Rob as a Podcast. So tune in for that as well. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. And you can also find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Kirsten, where can people find you?
So they can follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, including twitch.tv/Kirsten Said What. I think I'm actually going to go live right after this to just play a little Fall Guys because I can't make it to Among Us today. But also, Riverdale is back. So Mary and I are over on Kowski Cast. That's Cow with a K, talking about Riverdale. This past week, I think, was an all-time Kowski Cast, so people should check that out. As well as Lindsay Wilson and I have a BoJack Horseman rewatch podcast called BoJack Horse Pod that people should check out. We're just finishing up season 3, and it is a joy. So people should also check that out. And I think I might be on a Big Brother recap this week, so people should stay tuned for that one.
There you go. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us here today, and I'll see all of you next time.